Hey everybody, this is Donna Cruz with Savvy Technologies, and I'm here today with John Gonzalez. John is the Director of Mobility Services for Wireless Watchdogs. John, thanks for joining today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Donna. I really appreciate it.
Savvy has been featuring on our LinkedIn and our blog this month, mobility, all things mobility. And we want to talk a little bit depth about four topics, and this will be the first one, and that's what is managed mobility services. So we really want to give you the overall picture of managed mobility services about, managing the entire mobile device lifecycle and making it easier for businesses. So, John, what does managed mobility services actually mean in plain English?
Sure. So, in plain English, it's really like an MSP for mobility, so a managed service provider for managing companies' mobile devices. So, managed mobility company takes care of all the business mobile devices, which includes their phones, their tablets, their apps, their plans. So the company doesn't have to, and they can focus on other core initiatives.
Great, thank you. Talk to us about why managed mobility services is suddenly so important for businesses with a mobile workforce.
Well, a lot of it's stem from it's a mobile first world, right? More employees work remotely, they're on the go, and companies need a smarter way to manage devices. More importantly, around security, which we'll get into, cost and support without all the chaos. And what the chaos is, you have a construction company, finance company, it doesn't matter what industry, everybody needs mobile devices and they're ordering devices, they're having to provision devices. People are leaving companies, they forget to get those back, they're ordering brand new ones and it just gets lost in the shuffle and between rate plans and the carriers, going after each other on rate plans. Our job is to be the front line of defense, or the managed mobility service company is to be the front line of defense to make sure you got the lowest cost option. But more importantly, there's process around onboarding and offboarding mobile devices.
Yeah, and that's so huge. I know you and I together have talked with a number of different customers, and we'll share some stories as we go through this. But it's interesting because mobility might not be considered strategic. Like the things you can do on a mobile device might be considered strategic, but people just go, "Oh, it's a carrier invoice, pay it."
Yeah.
And yet, as you and I have seen, right, if you don't pay close attention or have some tools that offer this level of automation, right, and visibility, it's easy for it to just kind of run away with itself. And all of a sudden, it's a little bit out of control. And we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, tell us about how managed mobility services help companies to cut costs and stay efficient.
Sure. So managed mobility services, what they're able to do is without the company switching cell phone carriers, without disrupting their service, typically without spending any additional money, there's a way to cut costs. And what it does, it avoids overspending on phone plans. Because as you said, Donna, most companies, they get their bill, they're like, oh, yeah, it's 10 grand. It was about 10 grand last month. Let's just pay it. And the only time they take a look at it, if that 10 grand jumps to 12 or 13, then they're like, wait a minute, what happened? Not knowing if it was optimized correctly and it was well managed, maybe that should have been, $3,000, right? $2,000. So management what the companies do is they help avoid overspending on plans. They reduce the lost and unused devices, which Donna, every assessment we do, we see unused devices that have been sitting there for months. People have been
Mhm.
gone from the company. They're ordering
Mhm.
brand new devices. So it automates setup, updates, and frees up IT's time from all this time-consuming work and to take them out of the guest game. The guessing
Yeah.
barriers. Yeah.
Yeah, we have really seen that in the work that we've done together, John. And one of the things that I would say again is, I think a lot of people just look at, these mobile services, right, as a kind of a necessary evil so that they can do the things that they want to do on a mobile device. Um, and yet, right, it's a lot of details to manage, and it can take a lot of time if you're having your help desk do like all the ordering and kitting and shipping and that sort of thing, and you're having somebody else. I mean, you and I saw this with one customer. They had a full-time person who was literally spending half of their time analyzing this mobile invoice.
Yep.
and that's a lot of hours that could be put towards something that's more strategic, right? So
Core initiative. Yep.
yeah. So talk to me a little bit about what you think the biggest mistakes companies make when they're trying to manage mobility, right? And that's all of these different aspects, right? Mobility, security, expenses, when they're trying to do that themselves.
Yeah, so the biggest mistake, well, they don't teach this stuff at Harvard, how to manage mobile devices. We've been doing this for about 22 plus years, and I'm sure there's a lot of other companies out there to do this, but the biggest mistakes is buying plans, right? They lose track of devices. They struggle with security. They're trying to do their core functions. And typically they're giving this to procurement, IT, that's overwhelmed, right? They're trying to keep the networks up and running, the employees ready to go, but they're dealing with mobility headaches, right? To where I need this new device. Hey, my phone is not swiping to the left. So now all these time tedious things come to the IT department, right? Between chit chat and calling the carriers, there goes about an hour, 2 hours maybe, right? To where if you had a process, a proven process, a life cycle management from onboarding to offboarding, you can actually free up time to focus on other core initiatives. You get expertise, and think about the power. So companies like the Managed Mobility Services and companies like ours, we manage hundreds and thousands of mobile devices every month, every industry you can imagine. So we know the inside baseball knowledge. So we're able to bring that knowledge, right, to our clients to help them, right, keep them at the lowest cost option, but more importantly, offer a solid process for onboarding and offboarding devices and everything in between. So we become an extension of the IT department so they can focus on other core initiatives while we kind of manage the chaos, right, and all the new devices coming out, the features. So that's the biggest mistake is trying to manage it on their own. They do a good job up until the point to where it starts getting to where, hey, we have 50, 100,000. Now it's like overwhelming, right? That bill's coming out every month. New employees are coming in and out. So it just becomes a big struggle for companies trying to manage them. And then we'll get back to the security piece again, because that's really coming up a lot with companies that have mobile devices, their security piece of it.
Yeah. I would say, one of the things that I think I've seen with my clients is just that thought process that a person can do it better than sort of a purpose-built, automated, software-based solution that plugs right into the carriers because you can have the most capable, competent, hardworking, truly, trying to do a good job person. But first of all these carriers are constantly changing everything, right? So there's just no way you can keep up with that, right? Unless you have automation that can just kind of do it for you. And then,
Mhm.
hundreds of lines of invoice, this overage and that charge and this plan and what's available, which carrier, who was traveling overseas, should we have got, I mean, just
Yeah.
juggling all of
Why am
that.
I paying for insurance? I didn't ask for
Yep.
insurance. Why did I get the third party charge? I didn't ask for that. Like all this stuff taxed up on their
Right?
bill,
It,
you
so
know?
it so it gets really complicated. And I think just trying, no matter how capable somebody is, it's really hard for them to do a better job than, like I said, something purpose-built and automated that's, always up to date on everything that's happening, not only with their invoice, right, but with the carrier and with, calling plans and et cetera, because it changes all the time. So last question, if mobile managed mobility services, I wish we could give this out. If managed mobility services were a person, how would you describe its core job in one sentence?
Yeah. That person would save you time, money, and frustration without having to switch anything, right? Exactly where you're at. Stay with the carriers that you're with and let an expert come in and help guide you and lead you. MMS to me would be a smart assistant, right? It keeps all your mobile devices organized, secure, and cost efficient.
Yeah, a very smart assistant. So, well, thanks, John. I'm looking forward to our next session, which will be all about focusing in on each of these three aspects. The first one's being mobility management. So,
Thank you
thanks for your time.
so much. You guys take care.